I'm Richard Bliss, the host. This is Vidcast 7.
Lucky number 7.
Woo-hoo! My co-host,
Aldo Giatti, impressions. Hello again.
Aldo Giatti with impressions.
Yeah, I gotta talk louder too.
Yeah, you
It's getting kind of like, it's just me.
No, it's Aldo. And if you know Aldo, one thing you know is that Aldo is a little bit shy, has troubles initiating conversation. But once he gets going, he's great. Hey, so what are we going to talk about today?
Well, let's talk about what little, thing has happened in the industry that kind of spurred some good conversation out of it. The minor news, well, I don't mean to say minor news, but the small news was Cobalt Quarterly magazine, which was the premier magazine for role-playing.
Yeah.
They announced they're going out of business after years and years. It was one of the last print publications in the hobby game industry. And actually, coincidentally, the sons of Gary Gygax, Ernie and Luke, announced that in partnership with a couple other guys, they're going to start Gygax Magazine, which, the whole Days of Dragon and Dungeon, reminiscent of that,
right.
Role-playing magazine and all that other good stuff. So those two things, just in the role-playing world, but they brought up a question on a forum that said, hey, speaking of all this going away and coming back magazine, what do I, as a game company, where can I actually advertise, and is it really effective for me in the game industry? So it brought up an interesting question. They started talking about, the effectiveness of print media and how to make it effective.
Good question. Good question. Do we want to talk about that for a minute?
Well, the question is, I think the question that really answers, what does the hobby game industry have for game publishers to market their games besides social media, which is
we're going to talk about
social media. We all know.
Well, that's because
but what do you do?
We're talking about two different things, right? We're talking about marketing.
Yes.
And we're talking about advertising.
Yes, and as I've always said, marketing's the umbrella that covers all these things like PR, advertising, conventions,
packaging falls under marketing. Yeah. Price falls under marketing. Promotions.
Marketing's the umbrella. Don't get them confused.
Advertising is one piece of that, and I have to say, in my belief, around the world, and that is, for example, as the executive of my software company, years ago, we said, no more print. No more print. Mm-hmm. No more print flyers. No more print nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because it's so ineffective. I mean, have you ever reached up to your TV and tried to click on the link just because you're watching here? It's like, oh, I can't do that, right? It's advertising the traditional way just isn't effective.
Well, do you believe in that with the hobby game market as well? I mean, because let's think about traditional banner ads. People say, oh, I want to put a banner ad on Board Game Geek or a banner ad on RPG.net.
Right.
Or let's talk about a print ad in, some of the distributors have print publications still.
It depends, really, because what is the purpose of a banner ad? The purpose of a banner ad is to interrupt and distract the visitor from the reason they're on the site, right? And so you're trying to steal away attention from the very people who put your banner ad up in the first place. It's not always the case. For example, KickTrack. KickTrack has started to run banner ads. Mm-hmm. And I've talked to some of the project owners who have put their banner ads on KickTrack. They are seeing active leads come in and people back their project directly from KickTrack. But why? Because people who are on KickTrack, which is a Kickstarter project tracking site, the people who are on there are Kickstarter backers looking for their project.
So you're talking basically they're targeting a perfect target.
A perfect target.
And that's even if you go to Board Game Geek, you may have somebody who just likes fantasy games.
Yeah, but I've been to, nothing against Board Game Geek. But
I know we're using an example. I don't mean to pick on him. We're not picking on him.
First of all, when you upgrade your Board Game Geek account, what's the very first thing you're allowed to do?
Oh, disable the ads.
Turn off the ads.
Yeah.
Well, why would you want to Penny Arcade, right? So what Penny Arcade do? They tried to raise $1 million.
That's right, I remember that.
To get rid of their ads. And what did their backers say? We like the ads. And the challenge with Board Game Geek is that, first of all, their ads are limitedly successful compared to the way it used to be. I'm not saying don't advertise on Board Game Geek, but I'm telling you that if you're going to expect to get returns like we used to expect in the olden days of the internet, that ain't going to happen. Yeah. Also, Board Game Geek is busy. You're competing with so much on that page.
The text links, the
forums,
tower on the right.
hot list, whatever. It's just
it's a lot. But let's talk about, so do you think, so if you had to say, what would be your top thing under marketing that you would tell a publisher, a small press publisher or a new publisher to concentrate on for advertising? If you were going to advertise your game for a year, boom, pick the top thing. What would you say? Advertise.
Don't.
Interesting.
That's what I would tell you. Don't advertise. If you only have $1 to spend on marketing, and we're going to use that as to represent your entire marketing budget, advertising is probably the least effective of all the ways you could spend that dollar on marketing.
Okay, because so if you ask that question back to me, ask that question back to me.
Aldo, if you had $1 to spend on marketing, on advertising, on advertising, where would you spend it?
So my answer is a gray area because I've always told people that the number one way that I think, in my opinion, top of the list is conventions. And some people go, wait a minute. Conventions,
I was going to say conventions, but that's not advertising.
Some people say it is. They go, oh, well, I spend $2,000 at 10,000 at Gen Con and I sell 10,000 in games and I cover my room costs.
Well,
that's just advertising.
What did you spend that 10,000 on?
Well, because a booth, room, food.
None of that's advertising.
Okay, so
but if you bought a banner at Gen Con, for example, Privateer Press. You've been to Gen Con.
Oh yeah.
You go to what's the pub, the restaurant?
You mean the Ram?
Yes.
Yeah.
And you walk in there.
And it's all Privateer Press.
It's all Privateer Press. That's advertising.
That is advertising. And so if we go back, what would I spend my dollar on? I would actually spend my dollar on somebody posting in forums for me, starting threads, going to Board Game Geek.
That's not advertising.
Well, how can you?
That's PR.
Okay, so you call PR, so you'd still not advertise.
It's content creation and
then
PR.
I would do banners. If you want me to, the traditional answer is,
well, what's your options?
I do a banner on Board Game Geek, RPG Net, somewhere electronic.
Do ban. So if you're going to force me to spend the money, this is what I tell people: go find these smaller specialty blogs. Don't go to Board Game Geek. You're competing with everybody. Yes, all the people are there, but so is everything else.
All the alpha gamers.
All the alpha gamers are there. But if you're trying to advertise, go find somebody. Go to the mommy bloggers.
Interesting.
Go to the sports bloggers if it's a sports game. Go somewhere where you can stand out and say, I'm different and you haven't seen this before.
I've always told people that if you're going to do any form of advertising, always do something that makes you jump, up from the crowd because it's...
My recommendation, go to Amazon.com, look up Richard Bliss, Stealing the Show. It's my marketing book on how to stand out in a crowd when you have very limited budget and you want to capture people's attention. It's called, you can get it in PDF, ebook, or you can get it the paperback.
That seems like a setup. I didn't know you had a book.
That was bad marketing on my standpoint.
That's pretty good. I didn't know you had a book. So this is a long conversation, but we're going to talk about marketing in general because that's a big deal.
Let's have we might just have a whole
Vidcast on starting marketing. Okay.
So let's talk about
what we have
brought.
Well, let's talk about this one.
Let me go ahead and show this to you.
You know what?
What?
Let's do something different. It's great that we show this and all, but why don't you start walking that way and let's really get into the game.
Get into the game.
Just trust me. You go that way. Richard.
All right. Here we go. Wow!
What do you think of this?
Wow!
Pretty cool.
Wow, that's pretty amazing.
This is what you call really getting into the game.
We are into the game.
We are into the game.
So what are we looking at here?
So, like we're saying, the Mutant Epoch RPG.
Mutant RPG! Epic Epoch. Epoch, is that how you pronounce it?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Right. So those that are looking at this lovely cover here, you're going to see it's very reminiscent of Gamma World from the good old days. And it does give you that, mutant powers, robots. You can see guns, giant creature.
There's a
chick with their special powers.
Yeah, chick with the special powers. I won't go there.
So the cool thing about this, actually, one of the little quirks about the game, not quirks, but one of the little nuances, is that the art here that you see, is also the guy who does some of the art for Joseph Goodman's Dungeon Crawl Classics role-playing game.
Oh, that's why it kind of looks familiar.
Yeah, so a little bit. So he does some interior art. So he's got his own RPG line
that
we just started carrying. So that's that. And now let's go to, like we were just great segue, into the new Joseph Goodman RPG wizard cover for Dungeon Crawl Classics.
All right, here we go. Whoa!
Yes.
Whoa! Whoa!
I'm glad you're all excited about this.
I'm hot.
That's what it is. This is the Dungeon Crawl Classics
Dungeon
role-playing game
Crawl Classics
special edition wizard cover.
Huge.
Big.
This is
big.
big.
Big old wizard up there. He's doing his thing and fire, flame. So the special thing about this, it's just like your $40 Dungeon Crawl Classics role-playing game, except it's got the alternate cover. It's $60. Has a couple of extra pages, and inside, it could actually be great if I could just wrap around, grab my hand, open it up.
We're not that.
Yeah. There's a art folio, special edition art folio, tipped into the inside cover.
Maybe we can show it when we get back.
Yeah, we'll pull that out. So that's great. So we'll do that, and then in conjunction with the release of the Wizard cover, we have something else. We're going that way. Let's go. So,
check this one out. This is great.
So you're familiar with the artwork. Here's our Dungeon Crawl Classics roleplay game.
Similar.
This is the latest adventure that's just coming out, Blades Against Death. So obviously it's a blade. See the dude blade? He's got blood on it. So giant skull guy up top there, looking down upon us. So obviously you've got 7 or 8 of these adventures already. So that will go great in tandem with the Wizard cover we
Very cool.
showed.
So this is
Blades Against Death.
Blades Against Death. Again, a Dungeon Crawl Classics from Mr.
Adventure from
Joe Goodman.
Goodman Games.
Thanks, Joe.
So we got one more to go, but it's not role playing this time. Enter a world of card games.
Here we go. Oh, well, this is a little bit more interesting. So some cards here. We got a box.
You got a box.
Okay.
You got Purge. Sins of
It's
Science.
a big game.
So, actually, the cool part about this game, which I like, we'll show you in the cards in detail. We'll go off and we'll zoom into the cards. But this lovely little box here, it includes 6 different factions of a real-time strategy card game. And for those of you familiar with the computer game Command & Conquer, the original Warcraft, StarCraft.
Real-time strategy?
Real-time, the PC computer
strategy
game. Build your barracks, build your grenade guys.
This is a card game that does
This is a card game version, but the cool part about this game is, everybody's worried about let's draw cards and hope that I draw the special armor that I want or the special, vehicle that I want, whatever. In Purge, all these cards down there,
back here,
right back there.
Yep.
Those are your deck that you don't have a deck. You get to choose when you're ready. So you start with your base, and then if you want to choose to build a barracks with infantry or a place that produces vehicles or improve your armor, just like in those real-time strategy, you just pull a card out. Oh, I've got enough energy to upgrade armor. I have enough energy to buy this vehicle. So you just pull it from the deck, and it's now part of your...
Interesting.
So anyway,
let's take. Can we go take a look at the cards?
Yeah, let's go and we'll pull out the cards and we'll start coming through.
And then we're gonna look at the folio.
Yeah, we'll pull out the folio as well. Good call.
Is this the way we go out?
That's where we go out as well. Back we go.
Wow!
So what'd you think of that?
That was awesome.
That was
awesome. What a way to look at a game.
So we're not going to put up those little nuances of extra things, but let's. The first thing is let's put under the camera this inside tipped in is the Bradley K. McDevitt special art folio, only available in that Wizard edition because that cover is a special edition that he did as well. So you can see obviously it has a little information about him, and then it has bits about the artwork that's done. So the next thing we're going to show, which
I'm still looking at the art.
Oh, you're still looking at the art? Okay, you can keep looking at the art.
I'll just keep going. Okay, now here's
anyway, and then it's there's a few other nuances inside the DCC RPG that's different from this one. Now the next one that really deserves these close-ups, grab both of these stacks. Okay. And this is Purge. So I don't know if you want to take the box again. We've already got into the game.
We did get into
the game.
That's what we're talking about. So what are we showing here?
So those are cards for each of the factions. That's just a sample faction. So if you can zoom in on a couple of those cards as much as you can, I want people to see. I mean, it's beautiful digital artwork. I mean, really high quality video game artwork, I would say, equivalent to what I was saying. It's reminiscent of the real-time strategy games. So
let me take my glasses and see if I'm actually getting the camera's picking it up.
So each one has a faction leader, a commander, and then, like I said, there are the cards that you pull out.
That's some good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, really beautiful stuff. Yeah, take this commander from this deck and show him real quick. The top card on that deck.
This one?
Yeah, and
I don't think it's gonna pick up. It's very dark. Whoa.
It's very dark. But anyway, so that gives you an example of the cards, and the game is tightly packed. There's no air in that box. You open it up, it's a brick.
And this is the real time strategy card game.
Yes,
That'll
but
be
obviously
interesting.
it doesn't play in real time. But
We're gonna have to play it and show people how to play it.
It's if you're familiar with Command and Conquer, like I said, whenever
It's
you
a
have enough
computer
money,
game.
you click and you have it's a barracks.
It's a computer game.
So anyway, so that's pretty much it for this episode. We're at the end of the year, so we're gonna take our little holiday break. We might throw in a little podcast, but next year, I talked to Richard. I want to start getting some retailers on board because retailers are commenting about what we're saying. And they're just like, I want to argue with you. And I'm like, that's great. Then let's have you on the show.
Why would they want to argue with us?
Because we're not retailers.
We're not retailers, but we know everything. So that works.
Then probably the last thing is the top sellers for the year. And we talked last time that the top, 4 of the 5 top sellers for last month alone were just restocks.
Right.
Versus new. So I pulled up the top 20. And of the top 20, 2, 4, 6, 7, of the top 20 sellers through impressions, of course, only 7 were new releases for the year of 2012. 7 out of 20.
Now,
13 were restocked.
Is this indicative of your business or is this indicative of trend in the industry?
I have found that it is indicative of the industry.
So what does that say then? So 7 of the top 20 were new games. This goes back to previous episodes where you talked about, look, you got to get into that gravy train.
Yeah, if you start getting into that restock, that getting retailers used to saying, I can sell 2 a month of that game. I'll just always have 2 on the shelf. That type of thing. But one of the retailers told me, they said, if they don't sell 1 after 30 days, 1 copy after 30 days, you're
forever.
You're gone forever. Gone forever. Like, wow, let's take a chance with another new game and hope that new game becomes.
Well, let's get some of these retailers in here to tell us what they know. We'll either bring them on the show or we'll dial them in.
So the last thing I'll just say on the top 20 list, I want to give kudos. The number 1 game sold through impressions. If you have not picked it up, and we just restocked it and talked about, just restocked it a couple weeks ago, but the number 1 selling game for impressions this year was a new release, and it is the Manhattan Project from Minion Games.
I thought it was Cutthroat Caverns.
So,
but it's the Manhattan Project from Minion Games, and we have a bunch of Minion Games.
Right? Yeah, we actually don't have a copy of Manhattan because it was out of stock when we were bringing it. Now it's just restocked, but it's going to go out of stock close to the point that you're watching this video. I've already looked at the trends and the numbers and what I have to restock to people before the Christmas, New Year's break.
Well, congratulations to Minion Games.
Yeah, kudos to them. I mean, I can't see it not being anything but the constant restock forever game now because it went over the hump, and that's what you all want to achieve if you're a game publisher.
Help them out. Go check them out on Facebook. Their Facebook website, I think, is facebook.com/Minion Games, I think.
Yep, and so miniongames.com as well.
Yep, go take a look and take a like. Well, great episode. You were amazing.
Oh, I was amazing.
You were amazing. Yes, it was awesome to get into the game.
So hopefully we'll improve on our little get into the game. Maybe we'll start walking on board games or something.
Oh, that'd be fun. We'll talk about an unboxing. That would be Aldo inside a box.
Richard, you can be in the box with me too.
All right. Thanks everybody for watching. Hope you enjoy the holidays.
Happy holidays.
We'll take care.
Thanks.